Hi everyone, it's Oliver Harper here, and I'm back with Rob Hill, aka the Bad Movie Bible, and stand-up comedian Nick Helm. For this commentary, we are discussing John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. So Nick, are you looking forward to this?
This is I think this is my favourite John Carpenter film.
Oh.
And it is one of my very favourite films.
Wow, okay, I did not know that, Nick. Wow, okay, this is going to be interesting. So Rob, what about you? Have you made your notes? Have you refreshed yourself with Big Trouble?
I watched it a couple of weeks ago, actually, just coincidentally, because my son didn't remember being shown it at the age of 5. I looked on Letterboxd. That's how old he was when I first showed it. So we watched it again, because he's really into his kung fu at the moment. And I found it still just as amazing as it's always been.
Damn right. Yeah, the film was aged very well, and thanks to its great humour and I'd say visual effects still stand up. Okay, folks, don't forget we have new episodes of our show Genredrome over on Vimeo. The latest episode is now out with me and Rob watching the theatrical cut of Highlander 2. You can find a link to the video below. If you are a patron or a YouTube member, you can get 50% off each episode. So, folks, you can enjoy this podcast by itself, but if you wish to sync it up with your own copy of the film, put the timestamp to 0 and press play now.
I love the blend in of the sound and everything in this opening scene. It's beautiful.
This whole scene, wasn't it, was included at the studio's request to show that Kurt Russell was the hero.
Oh, yeah.
They were very annoyed by what John Carpenter had delivered them, because it wasn't the film they were expecting.
Oh, well, what were they expecting?
Well, they weren't expecting Kurt Russell to be essentially John Wayne without a clue. You know, he's a bit of a bozo throughout, and the hero is Dennis Dunn, a Chinese guy. You know,
Yeah.
they all wanted like a straightforward action movie that had Kurt Russell the lead, which they paid a lot of money for. I suppose not a huge amount of money, maybe in mid-80s, but he was supposed to be the hero, and it's kind of not that. It's like it's still like a not a buddy cop, but it's a buddy movie.
He's basically the sidekick, but the movie follows the sidekick rather than the main character. I think that's the way I've always understood it.
I think it's like an unusual film. I mean, when I saw it when I was little, I thought of it as like an action film, and there's some sort of like something lacking from it as an action film. But if you watch it more as a comedy, then it really works. And from a child, like just growing up, not really getting all the comedy, I kind of like it took me a while to really love it. And then the last few times I watch it about once a year. I think the last few times I've seen it, I've really started appreciating it for the other things, you know.
I have a similar experience with it, actually. It was never one of my favourite John Carpenters as a kid. I always liked it, but it was never one of my favourites. And for the reason you mentioned, the action, as it is in all of Carpenter's movies, if we're honest, just isn't very good. It's a bit like Escape from New York in that respect. If you think of Escape from New York as a sci-fi movie rather than an action movie, it works a lot better. But it's like, as the years go by, you begin to appreciate more and more of what Carpenter was doing with this film especially.
I mean, it's a mishmash of lots of things, and that's what's great about it. It kind of like folds in science fiction and fantasy and action and comedy, and adventure. It's an adventure film.
Yeah, it's probably the best genre for it. It's an adventure movie.
And I think it's it's my favourite Kurt Russell performance. He's incredible in it. And it's also like a prototype for like Ash in Army of Darkness.
Yeah, the lovable idiot.
Yeah, he's pretty much almost like the same character.
Well, interestingly, the critics said at the time, actually Kim Newman, I think it may have been, or maybe Neil Norman, they said with the UK press that it was a mix of Ghostbusters and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, that's how they saw it as.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. You guys thought the action wasn't particularly good. I mean, I think like the whole street battle, and especially the end sequence, was pretty ahead of its time for a Western movie.
Yeah, but the thing is, I was watching Jackie Chan movies at the time, so it always seemed to me like a poor man's like Carpenter was trying to imitate a Hong Kong martial arts movie, which he kind of is, really. But
Well, yeah, it's inspired by.
and it's so it feels really sort of stagey and ploddy by comparison to those movies. Like that big fight scene you mentioned in Chinatown. It's so obviously a set. There's no sense that that's really outdoors, and everything feels really confined, and the edit, everything's kind of just a bit slow and lacking dynamism for that kind of scene.
But that's if you see it as like an action scene.
Exactly, yeah, which is what I was doing at the time.
Whereas it's not. There's this big fight that's going on in the background, and Kurt Russell is blind. And do you know what I mean? It's like there's every time that there's this big, even in the final battle, he gets stuck underneath that heavy samurai guard or whatever it is, and obviously not samurai. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like he's always out of the action when it's happening.
Yeah.
So it's a comedy sequence, really, because you want your hero to be in it, and he's not.
Totally, and I think this conversation is illustrating why it didn't work at the box office and why Fox, was it Fox? I think it was Fox, had no idea how to market it, because they just didn't know what kind of movie it was. Because famously, the first screening went brilliantly, and the review, the feedback was amazing, and everyone thought they had a hit on their hands, and then Fox just didn't market it, just didn't advertise it, because they didn't know how to.
Well, this goes in step with the inventors of Buckaroo Banzai. Because was it W.D. Richter who had written Buckaroo Banzai and directed it.
Right.
He had obviously contributed to Big Trouble in Little China. And Buckaroo Banzai was famously a film that MGM couldn't market at all. They didn't know what it was about. And they even said to Peter Weller, "What is this movie about?" He goes, "I can't tell you." But Big Trouble is far more coherent.
This is so much. I mean, it's only like a tweak on it, where you're following, like you say, you're following the sidekick. It's only like a tweak on it. It's not like
I don't think that's even the problem, because you just get used to that. You adapt to that. It's whether or not the studio is going to sell it as a fantasy family movie or a martial arts movie or an action movie. They need to be able to do one of those things. They just don't know what to do if it's a bit of everything.
Yeah, but that's the ultimate joke, isn't it? That at the end of it, you followed this character, and he actually, the one thing he does is almost like a fluke at the end.
Mm.
Well, Kurt was there, he said. He didn't name names, but he was there when the studio decided, after a screening, to bury the film. Because he'd done all the press junkets weeks before the film's release, and everyone was excited, because obviously they'd been shown previews of it, and they're all expecting his film to be a big hit, and getting to Kurt to react to that. And he kind of knew in his head that this film is going to be buried at some point, or it's not going to hit how he expects. And then about a week before the film's release, he's like, what's happened to the marketing campaign? What's going on? Why aren't they marketing the movie? And I went digging and went through the archives of LA Times, and it was actually 3 days before its release, they just do a page spread in the paper. That's it. They're saying Big Trouble in Little China and the cinema listings with the Drew Struzan poster. And Kurt had commented saying he didn't like the poster. He didn't recognise himself in that picture. And I was like, I always thought the picture by Drew Struzan, he looked pretty faithful to Kurt Russell.
He looks quite boyish.
He said that poster didn't sell the movie. And then the UK would get the more kind of the quad poster where you've got a lot more going on. You've got like low pan in it and things like that. And with Kim Cattrall and Kurt Russell in the corner. But anyway, that again, Fox had given that very limited press in the UK. They did one page spread in London Evening Standard. And then a couple of days later, they did another one, but with 2 quotes from King Newman and Neil Norman. And that was it. That was Fox's push for Big Trouble in Little China, and did one trailer. And but they did put it out in 70mm. So they kind of spent the money to do a big 70mm print of it for the big screens. But yeah, that was it. That's why it bombed. Fox had no faith in it.
It's a good-looking film.
Damn right. It's Dean Cundy who shot it,
It is. releasing it in 70mm, which costs a fucking fortune, and combining that with not marketing it is about the stupidest way you could ever approach a release of a movie.
It's weird, isn't it? Either they'd struck those prints before they decided they were going to bury it.
Jesus.
So this was originally meant to be a Western, wasn't it? It was. That's where he's got.
Yes, that's correct, Nick. Yeah.
That's where he's got the horse bag on his shoulder, and
Oh, I've never thought about that. The saddlebags, yeah.
he's wearing the duster jacket, and so it was originally meant to be a cowboy film,
That's right, yeah.
and then they changed it into modern times because of the budget.
So that John Wayne impression, because it is a John Wayne impression he's doing in this movie, it must have predated, must stem back from that. Then I never knew that.
Well, Snake Plissken is a who's Snake? This is John Wayne, and Snake.
The man with
Plissken
no
is-
name, Snake
is
Plissken.
Clint
I've always
Eastwood.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a Clint Eastwood impression in
Yeah.
Escape, and John Wayne in this. Which is obviously some sort of private joke between him and John Carpenter.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's Kurt Russell's idea for the final act to knock himself out. You know.
But I mean to base his character on another cowboy
he goes
actor.
full John Wayne at the end when he says goodbye to Dennis Dunn. I'm like the delivery. It's so John Wayne.
Yeah, and when he's on his CB radio in his cab, I always think of that. But that's when he gets the real John Wayne drawl going.
When did you guys first see Kim Cattrall in a movie?
It would be Mannequin. I think Mannequin was my
same here.
But then I think I must have seen Police Academy on TV before I saw Mannequin, maybe.
Or Porky's?
Porky's, yeah. For me, it was Porky's and Police Academy were two of my favourite movies when I was about 10.
I didn't see Porky's till much later.
I remember getting my mum to record it for me on TV because it was on late at night, later than I was allowed to stay up, and I didn't think she'd know what it was about. And I remember her saying, "I'm not sure this is really appropriate, Robert." Well, how will I know unless I see it? Oh, good point. Yeah, all right then.
I mean, I fell in love with her when I saw her in Mannequin. I thought she was gorgeous, and then she was in this. But she said at the time making this, she struggled to be taken seriously as an actor. I think she's has brilliant comedy timing, and that's.
Well, she said she only made this film to subsidise her theatre career because at the time she wasn't interested in acting on film, only in the theatre, but it didn't pay well enough. So, I remember a quote from her saying that being in this was better than waiting tables, which is what she'd have had to do if she didn't agree to make this film. She was a bit unappreciative.
I'm sure she looks back on it with great fondness, though.
She must do.
More fondness than Porky's.
I think this bit's really spooky. Like when the gang turn up, it's like as a child, because this film was kind of on almost constant rotation growing up on ITV. They'd show it at
it was
6 o'clock on a Saturday evening, and it was a real kind of childhood classic, like Three Amigos even. Do you know what I mean? It was they'd show it on Saturday evenings, and you'd talk about it on Monday at school.
I love Kurt Russell's acting, shall we say, in this scene. It's just every strange foreign implement he's never seen before. He just looks at it like it's a horse that's on fire.
He pulls that thing out. He's like, "Where'd you get that?" He's like,
yeah, he's just constantly overwhelmed and surprised by stuff. He's on the floor. He's chasing after the guy.
yeah. When he gets up and his hat's come off and his hair's been crushed for hours by the hat, and he just goes, "The son of a bitch must pay." Because we've been introduced to these characters who already have a backstory and relationship, don't they? Where everyone kind of knows Jack,
Yeah.
but it's like you're kind of walking into maybe the third episode of a TV show or something.
Yeah.
You're right, actually, and this scene always confused me as a child. I never had any grasp of who was being kidnapped and why, and who was there to pick up who, and why they end up talking to each other and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it takes you a couple of watches to really get your head around what's going on. I mean, the first view is like you're watching Kurt Russell and the special effects, and and you're on there with the story. And then the more you watch it, because I do think that the plot is slightly too complicated for what. But I suppose it's a mystery as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot more elaborate than you sort of think at first when you look back on it. I find there's a lot more going on that probably isn't all that necessary. Yeah, because it's only like 95 minutes or something as well.
Yeah. I always found on repeated viewing that there's always a lot more the subtleties of the comedy come out. So many great things with Kurt Russell we don't realise, we don't see the first time you watch it, especially when he fires the gun for the first time. He pulls the funniest face, but you never saw that as a kid. You always sort of see it later on. But as a kid, though, you were sort of saying like, you watching it because it's a Kurt Russell movie and the special effects. That was me. That was a kid. I just wanted to see the action. I loved seeing the guy, the lightning god. It was like the coolest thing I've ever seen, because in the arcades you're playing Mortal Kombat, and it's just like that's it's like Raiden. So obviously the film was, because you're seeing it the years after the film came out. So what inspired Mortal Kombat? Big Trouble inspired Mortal Kombat. So it's kind of like you're seeing things slightly out of step.
And Baby Cart at the River Styx inspired those characters, the thunder gods. Are they? I can't remember what they're called now.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they're based on characters from Baby Cart at the River Styx, the second Lone Wolf and Cub movie, which John Carpenter is a huge fan of.
Yeah, because there's a few films, wasn't it, that inspired him with this, like Five Fingers of Death, Master of the Flying Guillotine, and Zoo Warriors from the Magic Mountain. I think that's kind of the biggest influence.
Was Zoo Warriors before this then?
That was 83 or 4.
Okay, yeah, that explains a lot, because it's got a really similar kind of feel and tone and stuff that happens as well. Because that Zoo Warriors is absolutely amazing, amazing.
There's
film.
Troy Hark, isn't it? I think it is.
Troy Hark, yeah.
I think he did some kind of so Van Damme movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
Maximum Risk and I think Double
He's
Team.
one of those guys who just does.
Was that Ringo Lamb? Actually, it might be Ringo Lamb.
Ringo Lamb definitely did some Van Damme. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Troy Hark did as well.
Oh, he did do Double Team. Oh dear.
Yeah, I was going to say, but look at the 90s, late 90s, I'd guess.
He did Knock Off.
There we go.
Oh dear. That's a bad film.
He's made so many movies, and a lot of them are terrible. But Zoo Warriors is just amazing.
There's this sequence here where we see the two gangs fight. We see all the Asian supporting characters of Hollywood, don't we? Don't we?
Yes.
All in one movie.
Yeah, you've got and it's also choreographed by James Liu, who is another one of those, like Al Leong here, is another one of those just faces you recognise as a henchman doing martial arts. And Gerald Okamura, obviously.
Yeah. Don't you see the bald guy or something like that in a minute, where he's got the two guns? He goes. Fires.
That's Gerald Okamura. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
This bit is genuinely like a bit scary and tense, especially if you're little.
Yeah.
And when you see Lo Pan for the first time, he's fucking creepy. He's proper scary. And so when I wasn't aware this was a comedy when I was growing up, because I watched it in isolation and I was like 7 or 8 or whatever. And so, again, cowboy stuff, right?
That's a good point. Oh, I did know that it was originally a Western, actually, because I talked to Gerald Okamura about it. That's why he's got the 6-shooters, because that's a holdover from when it was a Western. I'd completely forgotten about that.
So it kind of mixes genres, and I think when the first time you watch it, there is something off about it, and then like you say, it takes like a moment of revelation when you kind of like go, oh, he's not meant to be the hero.
Yeah. But it's like that's obviously relates back to the movies that inspired Carpenter to make this in the first place. The Choi Hark type, like Zoo Warriors, is exactly this combination of fantasy, action, and comedy, and with a big adventurous quest going on. It's something that Hong Kong filmmakers know how to do and Hong Kong audiences understand. But obviously when Carpenter did it here, it just didn't really connect with audiences.
I just think it's really funny that, he sat in the cab of his truck with his little knife, and there's all of this shit going, like he's ready for it, right? Look how terrified his face is as well.
Yeah, he's already completely out of his depth.
Yeah, he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He's terrified.
I loved this sequence as a kid because there's a great bit where the guy sort of karate chops a guy's face. He just goes flying off screen. Actually, I think he actually hits him, which is pretty good. And the guy breaks the guy's arm, when he kicks it.
But as an audience, we don't know what's going on either. So it's all mysterious, and it's kind of like, it's a bit like Desperado, where they kind of assume that no one's been to Mexico, and they go, well, Mexico's this fantasy land, and it's all like this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, have you ever been to Chinatown? It's like this every time. Do you know what I mean?
Funnily enough, this looks a little bit like Chinatown in London because it looks just like two dirty streets. Whereas the Chinatown they're actually meant to be in San Francisco is kind of huge and amazing, isn't it?
It's just littered with all you can eat, isn't it? Chinese food.
Yeah, it's just
subpar.
And gambling shops.
Yeah.
So these are loads of little action gags rather than an entire kind of like... I mean, the action's pretty good here, actually. It's better than I remember.
It's all right, isn't it? It's choreographed by James Liu, like I mentioned it, who is a legitimate... I mean, he's an American, but he's of Chinese heritage and is a legitimate martial artist. But in fact, you've got all three of them share a scene in Hot Shots, Part 2. Do you remember the stick fighting scene at the beginning of Hot Shots 2?
Oh, yeah.
The guy that Charlie Sheen fights is James Liu, who choreographed all this. The referee of the fight is Gerald Okamura with the 6-shooters, and Al Leong is in the audience watching.
Yes, right.
This is like nuts. Like when that amazing green smoke when he appears.
That's incredible, isn't it? What a great special effect.
Yeah. He's a proper martial arts master because he was on the BBC did a Kung Fu night in the 90s, and he was on it, and he was talking about how he trained his students, and he still uses that breathing technique, which is that sort of sound he makes, like his techniques deployed in the film. But it's kind of used as a character called Thunder.
Oh, it's brilliant.
This is all amazing rotoscoping. This is the guy who did Gremlins 2, like the gremlin that turns to lightning,
Electricity,
and,
yeah.
And Nuclear Man. He did all that kind of stuff.
Siskel and Ebert basically just said that this was just an excuse for special effects, and it was trash. And you kind of like go, you've completely missed the point. But if this film is just wall-to-wall special effects and trash, then think of how far we've fallen since now.
This film was quite a bit of revelation to me when I saw it in widescreen because you're so used to the TV pan and scan one. A lot of the stuff you see with the three weather gods, as it were, like a lot of that kind of didn't make sense what they were doing with their knives and stuff. It always looked strange. I love the one who's got the spinning things on his hand. It's a nasty weapon, isn't it?
I like the back scratches.
The back scratches are good. Yeah.
They're I don't know if you'd get away with this nowadays, but that is freaky. That I do remember that scaring me. Lopan appearing there like that.
The lightning comes out of his mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That always freaked me out.
It's so fucking creepy and weird.
James Hong is just brilliant as well as Lopan. He's so good.
His face is amazing. Yeah.
They run about 12 yards and it's like, right, fine, we're safe here.
Yeah. But then they run around. He's got the back. The thing is, like, you got a bit of fight in the background, but then they kind of run into that room, and then quickly they hear guys coming down the steps, so they go in these little alcoves, but no one seems to chase them. I was like, oh, okay, they got away with that,
I don't know if John Carpenter realised this with the storm gods. Storm gods. I think. What are they called?
They're not the weather gods, right? That's too close to the weather girls, right?
But they're inspired, as I mentioned, by characters from Lone Wolf and Cub, which is a Japanese series. So I've got a feeling Carpenter's just kind of folded
Yeah, mishmashed lots of
Japanese archetype into a
They're called the Three Storms.
Three Storms.
That's
Okay.
because Dennis Dunn refers to them later on. I always forget that. I think the guy who plays Rain, he'd passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really? Because I think that two of them at least are like prolific actors in martial art in Hong Kong cinema.
Carter Wong, Thunder. He's in, loads of
Carter
stuff.
Wong's in tons of stuff, yeah.
He's in Hong Kong Superman from 1975.
I've seen that.
Of course you have.
Who's Carter Wong? Which one's Carter Wong?
I want to say he's the one with a granite face, like, if you know what I mean. Like,
He's Thunder.
which one's
Carter Wong
Thunder?
One who expands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one who's got kind of like a slab of a face, if you know what I mean.
A slap of a face.
And here he is in a kimono. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how can you... I can't believe that I ever took this seriously, you know? Every opportunity they get, they make him into, like, an idiot.
Yeah. Everything he says on the phone here makes him sound like a fucking moron. Like, totally brain dead.
And he's the hyper-masculine kind of like white all-American guy. And then everyone else around him is kind of like, oh, God, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, that's the thing. For a American mainstream genre movie, how often is all but two or three characters not white in the 80s? That wasn't
This film's ahead of its time.
it was totally ahead of its time in all kinds of ways.
A lot of the trivia online said that this was kind of put into production quite quickly because Fox were concerned about Paramount Pictures and their competing movie, The Golden Child.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But it kind of dealt with kind of these kind of oriental kind of like characters and stuff, right? But that was like Tibetan stuff, wasn't it? And like,
Yeah.
It was Asian, it was fantasy, it was a mixture of comedy, action, and...
Yeah, so it's another movie that a bit of a hard sell, isn't it?
It's a similar tone, but then Eddie Murphy was an absolute superstar, and you could sell that off
Exactly,
his name.
yeah. People would just go and watch the new Eddie Murphy movie.
Even in the 80s, the Golden Child wasn't the classic.
I remember it coming out. It was really disappointing because I think Coming to America... Was it Coming to America? Something, whatever it was he'd done before was really popular. And then I remember The Golden Child coming out and no one cared. It was rubbish.
Yeah, I remember, didn't they have blood in the porridge, or there was blood in the food and they made them eat them? And I remember
The
somebody...
Golden Child made a huge amount of money though. It's like 150 million it made.
Sure, it's Eddie Murphy. People would have gone to see anything that he did.
Because he had done Raw around this time, wasn't it?
Right. It's
86.
it's not a good film.
No, it's not great, is it?
And this gets better with every viewing.
Yeah.
Whenever I watch it, I'm always sort of like, oh, I need a bit more. So I always watch Tango and Cash after this. Because he's basically the same character in that as well.
Kurt Russell supported the same hairdo, I think, for 2 decades, I think, didn't he? I think he still has the same hair.
It's a great look.
Yeah, he's not got a different hairstyle now, is he? He shouldn't have.
He's always got bouffant hair, isn't he? It's always big. It's
And a
always big at the
mullet.
front. A bit multi, yeah.
Yeah, but you look at his hair now and you think, if that was white and he had a beard, he'd make a great Santa Claus, wouldn't he?
He did make a great Santa Claus. Actually made a pretty average Santa Claus.
Oh, he was all right. I thought the films weren't good, but
The sequel they made was terrible.
right.
But Goldie Hawn actually plays a full role in that. But as he's saying, like, the Golden Child followed on Beverly Hills Cop, hence why it was so good,
Right.
you know. So.
Yeah, and at the time Beverly Hills Cop was new. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't the franchise that it is now.
And it's another movie that people kind of couldn't quite decide what genre it was meant to be. Was it an action movie? Was it a comedy? Was it a crime thriller?
It was going to be a Stallone film, wasn't it? So,
Yeah.
Well, that turned into Cobra, didn't it?
Yeah. I love this bit here because he basically becomes Clark Kent to sort of.
Yes.
In this bit, he doesn't become Clark Kent. Who does he become? He becomes Rick Decker in Blade Runner when he goes into the strip club.
Yes.
When you see Blade Runner,
Yes.
when you see Blade Runner and he puts on the glasses, you're thinking, are you in big trouble in Little China all of a sudden? It's fucking bonkers.
I've
in
never
Blade
thought
Runner.
about that. It's
Never
oh,
thought
God.
about that. That is really good, Nick. Yeah.
This is great. I mean, yeah, this isn't great commentary, but I love it. And she's brilliant in this. She's playing like this really kind of like earnest, like almost, well, she's not naive, but she's kind of like really earnest and sincere. And it's an unusual character.
She was good, Kim Cattrall.
She's like a hyper Lois Lane, isn't she? She's just a little bit like eccentric and like she's like a what was that terrible TV show in the 90s? Dexter Fletcher in.
Oh, Press Gang.
Press Gang.
It's like just come from Press Gang.
She's like Julia Sawala. But she's not just eye candy. Do you know what I mean? She.
Oh no, I think she's a better actress than she is a sex symbol, I think.
But like in a film like this, you wouldn't kind of like need the female character to be that kind of fleshed out in this era.
No.
And she's got like this entire character that's absolutely kind of like lovable and brilliant and funny. She's got good chemistry.
It's that because she's got to be like intelligent and with it enough to be convincing as a journalist, an effective character, but she's also got to be non-threatening to women in the audience who don't like strong women. That used to be a really big concern in the 80s. And she's kind of got to balance all these things, and she does it really well.
Dennis Dunn. Now, he had a pretty good career in the 80s, didn't he? Because, well, see, this wasn't a box office success, but, I recognise him. He's like a good supporting role in The Last Emperor, which is an incredible film.
I've never seen that.
Was he also, he would work with Carpenter again, wouldn't he, in Prince of Darkness?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not someone I've ever really noticed, if I'm honest, outside of this.
Well, I know him from Prince of Darkness as well, but I mean,
his first role was in Year the Dragon, which is who directed that? That was Michael Cimino, who also destroyed United Artists, with that big epic. Come on.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So that was a film he did. But Year the Dragon was criticised for sort of, by the Chinese community. And they tried to criticise this, and Carpenter got really annoyed.
What was Year of the Dragon?
Well,
85.
What was it, though?
What was the film about?
Yeah, what was the film?
I never saw it.
I can't place it now.
I can't even imagine what it...
I can understand those criticisms, to be honest, because movies... Cultural appropriation isn't automatically the end of the world, in my opinion, but if you take someone's culture and you don't understand it and you mishandle it, I can understand being offended by that.
Oh, totally, fully. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think the person Carpenter had was frustrated with. They hadn't seen the movie, because if they'd seen the movie, they'd know that Dennis Dunn was the hero.
Well, he's done this really sympathetically, but I mean, in the 80s, they were still calling it the Mystic East. Do you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
And we didn't really know much about Chinese culture. So this is very much a white Western view.
Yeah, it's a Chinese theme park, this movie. It's it's like those plastic pagodas. It's not, it's a Hollywood version of it, which is, it is what it is. That's what movies were like at the time. Like you say, there's no point being offended by it, but I can see why, if this is your culture, I can understand why you would be.
Well, yeah, they're treating Chinese culture like it's the unknown and it's the exotic and it's fantastical, and that's kind of like what the Western view of it was. But in terms of, he has done that, but he's also tried to fold in as much stuff that's authentic and legitimate along with that,
I think for me, I look at it as him taking Hong Kong cinema and mixing it with Western cinema.
Yeah.
That's what he's done.
And also, that is, to be fair, that's what this environment is meant to be. This isn't meant to be Hong Kong. This is meant to be San Francisco's Chinatown. It's, it's going to be Americanized. It's going to be different.
And it's also kind of like there's the unknown and the strange and bizarre, down every alleyway. You're living in your kind of like normal everyday world, but there's the fantastical just down the road,
Yeah, just behind that door.
Yeah.
I love Kurt Russell when he gets thrown on the chair. And he goes like, "You sleep in your office?" He's like, these little comments he does.
He's still got that silly hairstyle.
And he goes, "You can't go. There's something wrong with your face."
I'm going now, alone if I have to.
What? Where? It's pouring out.
And he's still here. He's begging them, tell me what's going on. He's, drinking his milk, yeah.
That's the great thing, isn't it? It's John Wayne without a clue.
Which, yeah, you're right. That is Bruce Campbell too.
He's still coming in. He's hyper masculine, and he's like going, "Tell me what's going on."
I think, what was it? Kurt Russell said it was like someone had made a John Wayne movie, but left all the errors in. John Wayne tripping up or getting his lines wrong, so then made a movie out of that. I think that's a great analogy.
I think you'll find, Ollie, that John Wayne never tripped.
In the outtakes, he may have done.
I was born ready.
What do you think Jackie Chan would have done with this role? Because that's who Carpenter wanted, wasn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you never heard that one? Yeah, no, he was. I think it went quite far. They definitely talked about it because the studio, the producer, Lawrence something or other, was dead against it because he thought his English wasn't good enough.
Well, it probably wasn't.
But Carpenter went ahead. To be fair, it wasn't great then, but Carpenter went ahead and started negotiating with him anyway, and he ended up saying that he didn't want to do it. He was sick of the States at the time, but
Yeah, because he had the Protector didn't go down well.
he'd had like two or
Cannibal
three
Run.
times. Cannibal, yeah, he'd been flown out to the States to have his big moment there, and it had just turned to shit.
I think it probably would have, obviously, if it was Jackie Chan in this, it would have been incredible. But I think also, I think this works really well as an ensemble cast, and I think he probably would have overshadowed a lot of the other stuff that was going on in this.
Yeah, he'd probably have taken the movie over a bit, but also like that character isn't a comedy character in this movie. He's the straight man, and Kurt Russell's the comedy. So I don't know how they could have handled that, because I mean he couldn't have played it straight. That would have been.
Then we kind of pointless having him, and also they would have stripped out a lot of his dialogue.
I don't know. I mean, he kind of does.
His English wasn't as good.
He kind of plays Rush Hour straight, doesn't he?
I guess straight-ish, but
He has funny fish out of water sequence, moments, but
Yeah.
but he's kind of playing it straight next to Chris Tucker.
I mean, this is like if Bruce Lee was still alive, that would have been a great role for Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but again, he's such a huge megastar. It wouldn't have been a Kurt Russell movie then.
No,
you know what I mean?
no, true, yeah.
This is your gateway into Kurt Russell. I don't know if he's ever been more fun than he is in this. Oh yeah, Captain Ron, but and Overboard. He can do everything. He's basically
Kurt can, yeah. I think he's mentioned this a few times in like modern interviews, like Graham Norton. He talks about Big Trouble, like how it's like I think it's one of his fondest roles. This is.
Well, surely he absolutely loves working with John Carpenter, right?
Yeah.
yeah, they do seem to click.
They made how many films together? 4?
5.
5. So it was Elvis, The Thing. Oh yeah, Escape from LA, Escape from New York, and Big Trouble in Little China. Brilliant.
They need one more. Just to even it out. Because that was always the thing, wasn't it? They always wanted to do like a third Escape from movie, but
Was it Escape from Earth? I thought it was Escape from Earth.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, Escape from LA was such a financial bomb.
What was that Guy Pearce film that completely ripped it off?
Oh yeah, Locked.
I thought it was good. Guy Pearce is brilliant in it.
I haven't seen it.
But it is a fucking rip-off. And they got sued.
Well, they had to pay him. They got,
Yeah, they actually had to pay out. That's a rare occurrence. That
And typical John Carpenter, he said, "I love it. I get paid again for doing nothing."
I love that when he's interviewed about remakes of his films, and he's asked like, do you are you passionate about it? I don't care. I hold my hand out. Someone puts a check in it, and then they make a movie. I don't care.
What the hell?
Imagine this being remade today.
Oh yeah. Well, you wouldn't. You couldn't.
Who would you put in the Kurt Russell role though today? Oh, it'd be Chris fucking Pratt, wouldn't it?
No, it could be John Cena.
The Rock was constantly like talking about doing it, but yeah, John Cena would be.
John Cena, I could see. Yeah,
John Cena would be great. It would be great. But The Rock would. It would be all ego. It would be The Rock.
No, John Cena's a better idiot than The Rock.
Well, he's so funny. He's got great comic timing. He's great. See, again, as a child, this is all so spooky and scary.
It's horrible.
It's almost like, Amblin, Spielberg.
It is, isn't it? Because it's not just like a shiny white skeleton. It's decomposing bodies.
It's elements of Poltergeist and stuff like that.
This bit coming up when they suddenly get attacked, I always thought there's a jump cut, like you're missing some footage there. So it goes from them in the water, him sitting in a wheelchair, and him in the corner.
Yeah, something's been cut there, hasn't it? A scene's been cut.
No, it's a good cut. I like that.
If you look on the floor, there's all these little orange balls, but then he's about to throw another one. But this is like the first time you think he's thrown one, but there's a bunch of them already there.
And Kurt Russell was recovering from an injury of some sort when that scene started, so something had happened just before.
Well, yeah, it looks like it was a torture sequence, doesn't it? So maybe they cut it down. But also, I've never really noticed that edit, and it just keeps the pace going. It's just such a pacey... there's not a lot of downtime, and when there is downtime, it's funny.
Yeah.
When Lopan comes in now, I was watching it the other day, and my girlfriend goes, "It's interesting that John Carpenter's sort of turned into Lopan, hasn't he?" Oh, yeah. He's looked a lot older than he is for years, hasn't he? So.
Old Lopan, yeah. But it's kind of like a modern day fantasy, right? It's kind of... There's this kingdom that's going on underneath the streets of San Francisco, and it like really opens up your imagination, but it's kind of still kind of real. Well, not real world, but they haven't traveled anywhere. Do you know what I mean? They've just gone down.
I agree very much with that. The idea that these wonders could be taking place beneath our very feet at any given moment, I think, is integral to this movie's appeal in a way.
Because they do all of this, they're underground. You've got all of these kind of quite claustrophobic spaces, and then they come out in the streets, and it's just regular life going on upstairs.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love how sort of Kurt Russell is very sort of, his character's very... He doesn't hold back. He just says everything towards Lopan. He's like, "Come on, man! You've had all these years to find a lady with green eyes."
But he's not interested in anything. Do you know what I mean? He's just sort of like, "Oh, what's this now?" Do you know what I mean?
And he's got an air of kind of not necessarily superiority, but it's like, I don't need to worry about these people. They're not a threat to me. It's very John Wayne dealing with Asians, basically.
It's misplaced superiority.
Yeah.
Where he thinks he's above this whole situation, but it's like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on at any point, and he's just bluffing his way through this adventure. And like this stuff is unfolding before him, but he's not really interested in finding out much about it.
Yeah.
He's ignorant.
Yeah.
He's Bruce Campbell as well. It is uncanny. I've thought about this so often over the years. How like where could Bruce Campbell be now if not for Kurt Russell? Because he'd have been, big, because he was on the cards for big movie productions at one point.
Bruce was, yeah.
Well, he was in Escape from LA, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Like they obviously knew him.
They wanted him for Darkman, didn't they, originally? Then he just had a cameo.
Oh, he would have been great in Darkman. But what they should have done is put him in instead of Arnold Vosloo for the straight-to-DVD ones.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
But Bruce Campbell's kind of a more, like, he mugs the camera more often, doesn't he? Where he's kind of more fourth wall breaking.
Well, Bruce Campbell is really funny and he's brilliant, but he's kind of like working to the edges of his ability, you know?
He's a one-trick pony. As much as I love him, he is a one-trick pony.
He's so good in Bubba Hotep. Like when I first saw Bubba Hotep, I cried because I was so proud that he'd made a good film, you know. But you know, he is limited. Whereas Kurt Russell, it can do everything, and on this film, he's decided to be like silly and funny.
Yeah. It's this persona that's similar to Bruce Campbell. Not all of his personas.
Have we talked about like his Elvis connection before?
Oh, that's a point. Yeah, because he's Elvis in Bubba Hotep and Kurt Russell's Elvis in Elvis.
Yeah, but Kurt Russell was one of his first films was It Happened at the World's Fair, where he kicked Elvis in the shin.
Yeah.
And then he played Elvis in the John Carpenter Elvis film. And then he did the voice of Elvis in Forrest Gump. And then he played an Elvis impersonator in 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Yeah.
So he's done like Elvis from every single angle.
That's crazy. So Carter Wong clearly, like, phonetically speaking, isn't he, with his lines?
They all look so kind of like iconic, and you know, all the actors are just, you know, they've got all the right looks to them. They're brilliant.
I was always confused by Kurt Russell's t-shirt. I was always kind of, as a kid, trying to make out what it was, the design of it all.
I've got that vest, yeah.
Yeah, years later they started actually replicating them, but I never kind of, as a kid.
Well, isn't it kabuki? So it's kind of, isn't that Japanese?
Yeah.
But like people were ignorant, you know.
Oh, yeah. And like actors have always been treated interchangeably by Hollywood right up until, if it's not still going on, right up until very recently. Chinese actors playing Japanese characters and so on.
But China was incredibly secretive in the 80s, so it's kind of like, and they've always kind of been secretive. So it was kind of like a white guy just fumbling his way through Asian culture and just making a mishmash of stuff.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, I don't think many gaijans would be able to tell the difference between, you know, a group of Chinese people and a group of Japanese people. There's obviously not one heritage for either of them, but you know what I mean. I think most white people aren't going to tell the difference.
But the white guys in this film are along for the ride, right? The heroes are Chinese, the bad guys are Chinese. It's not like white versus Asian. It's kind of like
It's literally just down to good versus evil.
it's balanced. There's not like a mean bone in this film's body. Do you know what I mean? It's all about entertainment and it's showing you something that you've never seen before. You know, there's no kind of like there's no patronising. You know, I don't.
Yeah, there's no cynicism about the cultures they're dealing with, and
It's
so
all
on.
done in fun and with. I think as much as they get wrong, it's intended to be respectful and.
Oh,
not
exactly.
just-
Yeah, no, I'm just looking. I think it's kind of interesting. It's kind of inevitable that we look through today a modern lens at these movies, isn't it? So it's a talking point more than a genuine problem. I think any of this stuff.
The one white guy in this film is a fucking idiot who's bumbling his way through it, and everyone else is an expert at what they do. You know, I mean, he doesn't have any kind of martial arts skills. You know, if he's got a knife or a gun, that's great, but he's terrible at fighting. He doesn't even know how to use a gun properly.
But Jack Burton has one super skill, and it's the reflexes, isn't it?
Oh, then the reflexes.
Yeah, because that's how they get heightened at the end. That's what makes him so good.
But even that's not something he's in control of. You know, it's a reflex reaction. It's not. It's not
It's not a skill. Yeah.
He's good at catching stuff and throwing it back.
immediately.
Immediately, yeah. I love that bit because blindfolds. Put us back on. I love this bit when he jumps on him. He just goes, it gets really big.
Always, if that is Carter Wong, which I think is that Carter Wong?
Yes, it is
Ollie?
Carter Wong,
It's that guy. Yeah, he's always reminded me slightly of Dr. Dre. I don't know if anyone else sees that, but there's
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I had a friend at school called James Garstang. He wasn't Asian, but he just looked like thunder. He looked like Carter Wong. Don't know why. Kurt's face is so funny. when he gets thrown off him.
Overwhelmed and out of his depth. Amazing! But what would you do? And he's screaming.
I love it when he levels out the wheelchair. There's suddenly this big dramatic moment. He just steps off it. It just falls in.
Yeah, it seems like this I'm thinking of when I think about the action not being all that sharp.
Yeah, but he's like, he makes a big deal out of something that's not like, over the top action. I love this bit. They've got to swap the guns. I'll trade you. He's like,
Yeah, there's lots of bits like that where you just think, this is what I would do if I was in this situation,
you want the machine gun, essentially.
It's the thing that you wouldn't ever get in an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, Oh, I'll have that gun.
I tell you where you would get it. You get that a lot in Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yun Bao movies. That triptych, which John Carpenter was so into at the time of making this. I wonder if he's kind of inspired by that, with these three characters having these comedy scenes together.
Very much that mid-80s, wasn't it? There's like Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and another guy. I can't remember his name.
Yun Bao, yeah.
Yun Bao.
Yeah.
All they did a bunch of movies together, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's a great effect. That low pan effect when his head glows.
Yeah, that's really good. The visual effects for this done by Richard Edlund, Boss Film, who had done their big... Because after he'd left ILM, he set up Boss Film, did Ghostbusters and 2010, the year we made contact. Ghostbusters, I think, made the biggest impression with people. Like, oh my God, these effects are amazing. And then he would, because he would deploy, because ILM would use a lot of VistaVision film stock to the optical effects. So the effects you end up with less grain. And then he would use 65mm. So when you see the big effects where they've got beams of light and stuff, so big 65mm stuff. And he would work on Masters of the Universe, and that would incorporate similar effects. When He-Man's sword, the power comes out when they battles, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But his effects company was, it did Die Hard as well. But I think that the company would sort of come to an end when the sort of transition to digital. He did a few digital films like Air Force One and Species, but their digital stuff wasn't particularly good compared to...
Oh God, there's a shot in Air Force One of a digital plane that's shocking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Air Force One is... Well, I think that film's dog shit anyway. I can't... Oh, God, I can't stand Air Force One.
Oh, it's so much fun though, man. It's so much fun. It's one of my favourite modern-ish, or of its era, one of my favourite bad movies.
I really don't like Harrison Ford's hair in it, and I can't get past it. I'm sorry, guys. But it's interesting that you say the special effects about the Ghostbusters thing, because there's that shot earlier where you see the green shooting into the sky.
Yeah.
And I was just, when I watched that, I was just thinking, that's so much better than the same effects from Ghostbusters.
Mm.
But it's the same guy, so he's like improving as he
Tweaked
goes.
it, yeah, improved it, yeah.
But the special effects in this film are incredible. Even that blue screen stuff of Lopan going through the walls. I mean, there's the trestle wall that he goes through, which isn't so great. But when he goes through the sofa and the wall on the other side, it's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
The lightning is, I think, the best
It's great.
you're ever going to see in a movie.
Well, they really sell it with the lighting on the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, Nick. Yeah, because most films forget about that. Like, they just add lightning to something. And that's the inherent problem with there's some effect in Superman 4. But in this, Dean Cundey has light flashing on set. So when it comes to doing the lightning stuff, they add in rotoscoping. It blends extremely well. It's believable.
How do you rotoscope a lightning bolt then? Do you literally paint the shape of each bolt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never really thought about it before.
Because in this, it's really smooth, isn't it?
Oh, it's great.
It's totally believable.
a lot of other films was always quite static, wasn't it? Like, it's only a couple of frames that add of things.
And it's also much more kind of delicate in this. It's instead of it being a big, thick,
Well, like it's like the Terminator,
like fractured lines. Yeah.
because that was Fantasy 2 effects. That had a big chunky lining, which I still love, but it's like a different interpretation.
I swear, it's so many movies, when you stop and think about it, could just be westerns. This is suddenly looking a lot like a western.
Oh yeah. How they've tied her up is a bit much, isn't it? They also gagged her as well because it sort of implies she's a bit
Hog-tied.
gobby. Just shut up, you. We're gonna gag you.
But again, it's kind of like these guys are doing the fighting, and Kurt Russell is rescuing the women out of cages.
But there's also the minute when everyone's jumping into the water, and then Kurt just gets knocked in by Kim Cattrall by mistake. He sort of loses. He has these sort of moments where he's like being the hero, then he suddenly loses dignity for a little bit. Here we go. Watch.
She's still got a gag on.
He pushes her in. He's gonna trip up and go in.
I've never noticed that. That's brilliant. But even that white room that Lopan goes in is kind of like, it's another feel, and it's so creepy and eerie, And now they're in the sewers, and it just feels like a real adventure film,
There's always a bit. As a kid, I always found it a little bit. I didn't find it that plausible when they go underground, where you got this kind of another world, and you got that big fish thing that comes out the wall. And he goes, "You won't come out no more." He throws the thing in. But I was like, that didn't seem to work. Like in terms of historical nature of America, it didn't seem to fit. Like that. That'll be something from like 500 or 800 years ago, where it's like, well, they've been around for like a couple hundred years.
I do think you may be overthinking this film slightly.
I know.
It's got one intention, and that is to give you a real good time. And it does everything. It's got like a huge bag of tricks, and it uses everything, and it's like, what a night. And you still feel like, you'll feel like you've watched a Kurt Russell action film, but you won't know why it's a bit weird.
Well, that's the thing. When I've shown it to people who just had no idea what the film was about, they all enjoy it, but they're always like, that was a weird film.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, like I have never watched this film with someone who doesn't love it. Even my daughter liked it,
Right.
And she hates everything.
And she's got absolutely shit taste, so... No.
Fucking right.
This is another great gag, when he opens the door and they're all there, just slams it closed again. You only saw me. It's like,
Yeah, but he opens it and then he shuts it immediately. It's funny.
yeah,
It's
I
so
love the
funny.
musical cue as well. They add in. Just this.
But he doesn't miss a beat, right?
Is Gerald dead now? I can't remember. Did he get killed?
Gerald? Which
Gerald
one's
of
Gerald?
Kimura, the bald-headed one.
No, he does pop up later.
Oh, right,
He gets
yeah.
Can't
he gets
remember.
stabbed in the back in the last act. The guy goes stabs
Of
him with
course,
two
yeah,
things,
of course.
and Kurt's just like watching by the side.
He's got he hands out stickers of himself as this character with the golden guns, and like if you ever
wow.
if you see him on Twitter every now and again, if someone ever sees one out in the wild, they have to photograph it and send it to him.
It's like a Blue Peter badge, isn't it?
He shares it on Twitter. Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
He gets his head squashed by two flying kicks in Hot
Shots,
Part 2,
yeah.
doesn't he?
Yeah. Which is interesting by that point, where they were spoofing Kickboxer, so it must have been Kickboxer must have made quite an impression, wouldn't it, at the time?
Well, also it's spoofing Rambo 3, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
they have the stick.
That's the
fight.
main one, but yeah, there are particular
Puts his hands
specific
in
little.
there.
Yeah, it's got the gummy bears and stuff. Hasn't it? I do
Yeah,
like that.
Is that from Kickboxer?
Well, you put it in glass, don't they, in Kickboxer?
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen Kickboxer.
Yeah, the bit in Hot Shots where they sort of thrust their glued up hands and fists into sweets and candy and so on is it's broken glass.
Right, because
I
I was always like, where's that from? Because it's not from Rambo 3.
Yeah, it's Kickboxer.
Hot Shots 2 is so much better than Hot Shots, isn't it? It's great.
like it more. Yeah, I
It's
do
much
still
better.
really like the first one though.
Hot Shots is all right, but I think it's got a 50% gag rate.
Those broad sequels they're always better than the originals. Like Airplane.
Fuck off. Don't you start with Airplane 2, though, for God's sake. No, I always thought the monster here was shit. It looks
Yeah,
kind of...
it
It has
really is.
it can't move its mouth, it can't do anything. And then when... it feels like they kind of run out of time with it, maybe, but when it jumps down the hole and it lands and it drops off Kim Cattrall, and it has this kind of wide shot, and it kind of the actor in the suit doesn't know what to do, so he just swings his arms around and just walks off camera, you know.
Yeah, but it's just a bonus. It's just a bonus monster, isn't it? And you're like, oh, you
It's
didn't
like
have to.
it's like Bigfoot from Harry and the Hendersons that's been put through the wash, you know, and it's come out. Oh, it's all gone a bit weird, you know.
It's Carpenter realising there is one fantasy trope he hasn't deployed yet. It looks like Rawhead Rex, actually, as well.
Oh yeah. Well, or cross
Little
between
bit.
Rawhead Rex and Beast Man from Master of the Universe.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely horrible.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great. It's like, what? What's this? Do you know what I mean? He's throwing so much shit at the wall. It's like, oh God,
But
brilliant.
the great thing they create later on is essentially the floating security camera,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is like the old cameras at Boots. You know, it's
Like those-
following you around.
Like one of those tomato things from Doom.
That's
So
right.
the big tomato monsters.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. That's a video game I've played, Ollie.
There you go. Well done, Rob. Have a biscuit.
Have a biscuit.
Here's John Carpenter's cameo. He does look a lot like that now. He's one of those people. I think that maybe it's just all old people nowadays. They kind of look exactly the same. You've said this, from the age of about 35 to about 70, and then they suddenly look like they're about 200 years old. That's exactly what Carpenter's done.
That's what's going to happen to Harrison Ford soon, because Harrison Ford looked the same for the last 30 years. He's got a bit more grey and a little bit more wrinkly, but he's not. He still looks good for his age. But he's going to wake up one day, you'll be like, fucking hell, he's on death's door.
Yeah, man. I just saw Vernon Wells in a Mad Max ripoff from last year, an Asylum one, and fucking hell, Vernon Wells looks like he died about 5 years ago. It's really, really not nice to see. It's considering he's such a virile, strong, big man as well, and he's kind of a shadow of himself.
Well, in our lifetime, we have 3 or 4 evolutionary steps in age. And you get one about 40 and you get one about 70 where you stop becoming the person that you are and then you turn into an older version of you.
Okay, that makes sense. I can believe that.
So that's why when people get old, they look, oh, you look pretty good for 70. You look like you're in your 50s. And then all of a sudden, oh, fucking hell, you look 90, mate.
I think it happened to Pierce Brosnan recently. You know, he's gone over to that next bit. He's just like, oh, it's really old. Maybe because he had a beard. He's gone very white grey, you know. So.
Actors also, I think they have to choose the moment at which they're going to now play old men or old women rather than, and they start aging up rather than aging down. Like Angela Lansbury spent her entire year playing women in their 60s.
See, if you two shaved your beards, you'd probably shave 10 years off you.
Oh, I would shave. Oh, I've got a young face.
Now, if you notice soon, in Egg Shen's building, it's actually the interior of the Ghostbusters headquarters.
Oh.
Is it?
When you notice it, I think it's coming up shortly. Because we have to remember, Ghostbusters' exterior, the headquarters, is New York. The
Yeah, that's a
interior-
real station.
The interior is a place in California.
Oh, is it not the same? I've visited the firehouse in New York.
Oh, I have as well. Do they have the big Ghostbusters 2 sign?
Yeah, if you look through the window, they've got the Ghostbusters 2 sign, yeah.
So I thought that was a set, the interior of the fire station. It's an actual building that they shot inside.
Yes, actual, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a, I think at the time it was maybe disused building or something like that. I can't remember the history of that building, unfortunately.
Speaking of people who look basically the same now, has Kim Cattrall aged at all recently? Because in my mind, she still looks pretty much like this.
Yeah, well, she did have all the 90s and Sex and the City. She looked great, you know. Well, she was from Liverpool, wasn't she? She's British.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think it was Liverpool. I'm sure it was.
So great.
Angela Lansbury's from London, you know.
Who is?
Angela Lansbury.
Oh, the hell.
She was British too, technically.
Yeah, I always thought that she was, though, right? She played Miss Marple in the early 80s, and she had like loads and loads of old lady makeup on her. And she looked older as Miss Marple then than she did.
Yeah, the mirror cracked. Yeah.
She looks very old now.
See, Lancelot. Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. They got the arch and
Shit.
everything. Yeah, that's Janine's desk.
My son found it. My son found it hilarious that his name's Egg.
It's even got the poles from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Oh,
Is that.
wow. Yeah, look at that. They haven't changed a thing.
Same universe, folks.
So, is it actually a fire station then? Is that a really stupid question? It was this place actually a fire station? I guess it.
Let me just double check.
Because there's a pole behind them there as well.
So many poles.
I mean, surely they changed it to a fire station when they found the location, right?
You'd think, wouldn't you? But then there's no.
Why would it have to be a fire station?
Yeah, it just seems like a coincidence that there's a pole going down from the fire station, and there's a pole in the Ghostbusters movie, but they're different poles.
Yeah, it was a fire station. It was a fire station. That's located in Los Angeles, 5th Street, something like that. Fire station, yeah. This is always kind of funny. Like, I always made me laugh because the ceremony, the sort of test that they can withstand the burning blade. When they go to the top, they get floated up by the swords, and then they put their fingers on that light. That basically, like, you can just turn on with the switch, but like it sort of creates these kind of burning green eyes. You know, I thought it was a bit of a quirky procedure to sort of prove that they could be sacrificed essentially to bring Egg Shen back to the real world. Not Egg Shen, Lopan.
Lopan was the inspiration for, is it Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat as well, wasn't he? So it's two Mortal Kombat characters inspired.
Well, you went through all the Mortal Kombat characters, and you're like, well, he's based on Terminator, and he's based on Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he's based,
Yeah,
Bruce Lee,
there's always a Bruce Lee.
Yes, always every like Tekken. There's a Bruce Lee, and Street Fighter's got a Bruce Lee with Fei Long.
Fei Long, that's it. Yeah.
The sets in this are great. What was the budget for this, Ollie? Do you know?
About 20 million, something like that.
It looks brilliant.
Because this was like, because as we see with Carpenter's career, like, The Thing, disaster, wasn't it, when it came out? Famously, now it's a massive, popular movie, highly respected, lost money, but obviously over the years it's made Universal Pictures a lot of money. So then he did Christine and Starman. Starman really got him back in favour with Hollywood.
Did Jeff Bridges get Oscar nominated for that?
Yeah, I think he did. I think even the song was even potentially nominated. But then once he was,
It's great. Starman's great.
Oh,
I
I,
love
don't like it.
Oh, I love Starman.
I don't
I
like
think it's
it.
brilliant. I only saw it for the first time during lockdown, and I loved it.
It was Carpenter's basically he to try and prove that he could do like a romantic sexy comedy, and it worked. So he was offered Big Trouble in Little China.
It's great. Karen Allen's incredible in it. You know.
Oh yeah. It's like doesn't want him to leave by the end, even though it's like he's only known this kind of it's like an alien for 2 days or something like that. It's an emotional moment.
But these films just look really cinematic in a way that a lot of his other films don't.
Well, it's a lot more expensive than... I was just wondering if he's ever made a film that cost more than $20 million, possibly even including Escape from LA. This kind of is the most...
LA's the most expensive. LA's most expensive. That's like
Is it?
that's like 40, 50 million.
Was it? I don't know. It could have been less.
It looks the cheapest.
Yeah.
Where they use a lot of crappy CGI in that. There's some good matte paintings in LA.
But the money must have gone on the cast a lot for Escape.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot more to pay for in that, and they'd have got less for their money because it's made 10 years later. But this to me has always seemed like his most sort of opulent and expensive looking movie.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's luxurious.
The one I've not
Yeah.
seen is The Invisible Man.
Oh, Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yeah, Memoirs of Invisible Man. Does that look cheap?
I've never got all the way through it in one sitting, but the special effects are good because they're based on the was it before or after Terminator 2? But the invisible effects were kind of based.
It was
around,
after 92, I think it might have been.
Was it
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it was Sam Neill being a bad guy just before Jurassic Park.
I haven't seen that since it came out.
Well, he was a bad guy, wasn't he? For Omen 3.
Yeah, and Possession. I mean, he was a bad guy. And he was again in Event Horizon, you know. Oh wow!
Kurt's face. Kurt is shitting himself.
He's like, "What the fuck is that?" That's another thing I didn't know I was going to see.
This bit here is like the spell hasn't quite worked on Kim Cattrall, hasn't it? Her character, where she's kind of snapped out of it. Where Dennis Dunn's kind of girlfriend, she's like always under, you know. I think this guy plays Lightning. It's either a model or like a singer or something like that. I think he might have been a model.
He looks a little bit... It's not, but he looks a little bit like the guy from RoboCop 3.
He does a bit, doesn't he? Yeah. He plays the samurai, what the cyborg, isn't it? Or Terminator.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it wants to be, you know. I think it's a Terminator, basically, isn't it?
So, Nick, this is your favourite John
Yeah.
Carpenter movie. Ollie, where does it sit for you in the grand scheme of things?
It kind of flip-flops between this and The Thing, I think.
Yeah, I like The Thing.
Depends what mood you're in.
I mean, I don't just like The Thing. I think The Thing is one of the best films ever made. But in terms of like rewatchability, I just think
Big Trouble takes the lead.
there's just so much going on. That every scene in this is enjoyable, whereas The Thing feels like it's building to this finale.
That's very true, yeah.
And this film's great sober, and it's great when you're under the influence. So it's really good under the influence.
Speaking of which, I invented a cocktail last night called the Bloody McCready, named after Kurt Russell from The Thing.
Was it J&B?
No, we're out of ice, so I had to use lemon sorbet. So I dropped a big lump of lemon sorbet in the top of the drink, which looked like an ice floe, and then poured a load of red grenadine over the top.
Oh,
And it
right.
looked just like snow splattered with blood.
Right. I thought it was a Bloody Mary with J&B.
It's like me giving like a Mr. Frosty thing, isn't it?
A Bloody Mary with J&B would be a more authentic Bloody McCready, yeah.
Oh, we got to drink that potion to give them special powers.
I think the bit in the lift that's just coming up is one of the funniest scenes.
Sort of feel incredible. He's like,
And they're all like nodding at each other like, we're badasses.
yeah, he's like, he just goes, "Hot in here, is it just me?" He's like,
It feels good.
Always makes me think of teenagers who've just had their first smoke and then they found themselves with a parent.
Or they've taken a drug and they can't work out whether it's kicked in yet or not.
Yeah,
And they're like,
yeah.
going, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
You're convincing yourselves that you are coming up.
But they could, I mean, this could be a fantasy film that's set on another planet. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, you could deploy this in any time period, couldn't you, as well? So it sort of fits. And this is kind of like this bit here, though, with all the neon. It's like a club, you know.
But it's just absolutely stunning, you know. And they've got this, what is it, an escalator.
It's like a Roman shopping centre.
It's gone to the Trocadero, or something. This entered Sega World, you know.
Oh, now that's something they could do with that space. Just rebuild a great movie set there.
They've entered a brew dog in Waterloo.
I do remember some of the effects here being a bit ropey, but maybe I'm...
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't look that bad. I think that looks great.
That's pretty good there.
Please, what is that? Please, what is that?
Oh, what's that other guy's name? The one with the long hair. He's in everything as well.
What, a guy who plays Rain?
Yeah.
You have come a long ways to find me, but it is too late.
I picture him in a lot of period movies.
And then I will sacrifice Gracie Law to appease my emperor.
See, I don't think that looks bad. I think that looks really good.
No, it's absolutely brilliant, in fact. I don't know what I'm remembering.
If it was CGI, it would be just as jarring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if it was CGI, it would look shit.
Just shoot it. Never know if you try.
Just like, even his walk is brilliant. He's found a way to walk in a way that makes him look thick.
But before they get to the lift, he goes hollow. He pulls his knife out and goes, fuck it, and just cuts it out. It's those little bits you'd always missed as a kid. But when you sort of watch it again and again, there's those little subtleties of Kurt Russell, which is so good.
You're looking for different things when you're a kid as well. I remember being like annoyed that he ends up with lipstick on him because it made him look silly, and it's like, but he's the cool guy I'm relating to.
Well, he takes it to the next level in Tango and Cash, where he
Yeah.
dresses up as a woman. But like, he's just up for it, isn't he? Like, he's just like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
No ego, just sort of like, yeah, all right, that sounds fun. I'll dress up as a woman in Tango and Cash. Great.
It is really good listening to his commentaries with Carpenter as well. They're the only ones that I'd ever really listened to up till a few years ago, because they just seem to really enjoy, Kurt anyway, just seems to have really enjoyed his time making the movies.
Yeah.
Really enjoys the fact that he's in, he's just so positive about it all.
Because they're great. Do you know what I mean? He made them. He's seen them. He knows they're great. He must have been in bad films as well.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, he's a proper bloke, isn't he? He's not some insecure half-wit or wannabe or what. He's comfortable in his own skin, and he's got the world sorted out.
Well, he's kind of like a classic action star. Do you know what I mean? He's not so big. He's kind of relatable. When they did the press stuff for Tango and Cash, he's like sitting next to Stallone and they're asking him about his workout regime. And he's like going, nah, don't do that. And Sylvester Stallone is next to him and he's not even remotely intimidated by that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like sat next to Stallone and going, yeah, he does all the gym stuff and I kind of stroll in. Whereas now it would be like, who's the biggest?
Oh, you go. It's a great scene, isn't it, now?
Yeah, this is it. It's amazing. Yeah, cool.
Kind of feel invincible. They do that. Everyone's just doing that to each other.
I got a very positive attitude about this. Oh, amazing.
Well, I interviewed Peter MacDonald, the director of Rambo 3, because he did second unit on Tango and Cash. I think he's maybe one of the executive producers or a producer. But he said the best thing about working on it was working with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
He said he was such a nice guy.
Well, that lift scene is a little bit like the lift scene in Ghostbusters, right? Where they all switch on their packs, and then they have like a little brief moment of a reality check just before they go in and do the thing.
A quiet moment of thought gathering in the midst of
But then he goes, switch me on, and it powers on. They sort of move away from him.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of like relatable physical humour in the lift before the big event.
So I don't, yeah, I mean, because some of the critics said it had the vibes of Ghostbusters. It very much has that sort of. It's the vibes of sort of the way the comedy is delivered, you know, where they're kind of people slightly out of like don't know what's going on or don't really have full control.
The horror and the fantasy is treated real, you know, and then the comedy is incidental around it.
yeah.
But the comedy is subtle in this, I think. You know, like I say, I watched it for maybe 20 years before I really understood how funny it was. Like the first time I watched Back to the Future my whole life, and then I saw it in the cinema when they re-released it in 2015. And I didn't realise it was a comedy until you heard all the other people in the cinema laughing, you know?
Really? Okay.
And if you watched all of these films growing up as a kid, you bring all your own stuff to it. And then later on, you just see it through different eyes.
That's very true.
Like, it's just, like, the fight begins and he's knocked himself out, and then that, you know, and he's not, do you know what I mean? It's amazing.
Am I imagining this, or was it a thing, especially in the mid-'80s, for almost all mainstream movies to have a big comedy element? Because, like, when you think about what was popular then, so many of the movies I'm thinking of off the top of my head are not necessarily comedies, but they have a lot of comedy in them.
Well, I guess, you know, Beverly Hills Cop and Ghostbusters would have really kind of gone, hey, people love comedy and people love, you know, horror or sci-fi or fantasy. Let's just, you know,
Let's
like
just get
Krull.
Gremlins, Back to the Future, the Goonies. These were like the biggest movies of the day when I was a kid, and they're all genre movies, but with comedy. Now I think about it.
Yeah. But if you look at stuff like Krull, that's kind of like got less rewatchability because it's...
and no comedy whatsoever.
No, played very straight, and it's all high concept stuff, you know. But let's take some comedy and put it in a high concept idea.
But with this and Ghostbusters, it's comedy that's in universe. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like he's not trying to make us laugh. He's just a buffoon. Whereas, you know, with all the Marvel films, they're basically winking at the camera every 5 minutes, saying, "We know this is just a bit of shit." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, all the Marvel humour is self-aware. I think it's
Yeah, that's it. Whereas this, you know, when this is scary, it's scary, and when it's creepy, it's creepy.
And a lot of the comedy does come from the same place as Ghostbusters as well, because it's a guy who's kind of an idiot, thinks he's much cleverer than he is, and he's encountered a fantastical situation that's far more dangerous and far bigger than he could have ever imagined.
It's essentially he's very much like Bill Murray's take.
Yeah.
Well, he's the audience member, isn't he? Where Bill Murray's going, "What the fuck is this?" And that's basically what Kurt Russell's doing. Like, this is nuts, you know, because otherwise we'd be kind of like us, you know, we'd be going, "This is unbelievable." But you've got a character that's literally holding your hand through it.
I love all this stuff here where they're flying in the air, the sort of front projection. Sort of that's behind them.
Oh, right, yeah.
Wushu.
Apparently Dennis Dunn really struggled to move his eyebrows when he does that. Yeah, he couldn't do it. He had to practice. It's weird, isn't it? Oh, this bit. I love this bit. This is like...
Where they're like playing a computer game.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
They even do the thumbs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There were there fighting games at this point? Is that they're not actually referencing that, are they? Isn't it just is it a
No, this is
coincidence?
86, so there would have been. God, I think now there's a couple of little fighting games, but nothing like before, like Street Fighter 1.
When did the Nintendo Entertainment System come out?
85 in Japan, I think it was, yeah. Called the Famicom.
So it would have been in the culture.
Oh, yeah, video games, really sure. Oh, look at that lightning. He rebounds it. Boosh. And he's like all like puzzled. He's like, what happened there? Love it. Look at all this stuff, man. This is like, back in 86, this would have blown my mind seeing this. Because if you weren't watching anything from Hong Kong, seeing this in a Western movie, you'd just be like, this is like the most mental thing I've ever seen. You'd be like, every kid or teenager would have walked out and gone and told all their mates, you've got to see this film.
We did. I mean, like we talked about it at school on Monday. It was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get all the pieces in place. This was released in the cinema in 1986, was it? So I wouldn't have seen it until it came out on video.
Yeah, it would be a 15
in the UK, which would have been probably 88 or 89 even.
Yeah, I feel like it was on TV every 2 weeks. Yeah,
ITV, I saw it at probably 92, something like that.
Yeah, I think I was maybe 9 or 10.
The same age.
Yeah, I'd have been about 12 or 13.
And also not really understanding anything about John Carpenter. Just being kind of like.
But this probably would have been the first John Carpenter film I saw, actually, because it played at an earlier time in the evening.
This and Escape from New York were, I remember very clearly.
I saw Christine at quite an early age.
That's, again, a superb movie.
It's not one of my favourites, Christine.
Christine, it's really it's quite unpleasant, isn't it? There's the bullies are really horrible, and
it doesn't feel so much like a Carpenter film somehow. It feels more like a Stephen King adaptation than a John Carpenter film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's like you can swap out all of like John Carpenter, put Mick Garris directing it or something. And it was
Yeah,
but the effect of the car, like being destroyed and repairing itself, it's incredible how they did that.
I'm just looking at my John Carpenter page on Letterboxd, trying to think what order I'd put them in, and yeah, I think Christine would be in the bottom third, if I'm honest, or maybe around the middle. Actually, I've forgotten about The Ward.
I don't really watch it that much, but I'd watch it ahead of Vampires.
Oh, Vampires is a fucking bore fest. I was so disappointed.
Yeah, that's my most.
The vampires are the problem. The vampires look shit,
And they spend half the time in a hotel room. I just bored the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's rubbish. But James Woods is good in it. But
weird. Gene Siskel thought his performance was amazing in that film. He said it should have been he should have been nominated for an Oscar for that.
Yes, but Gene Siskel is an idiot.
I love Lo Pan. He's got the big hat on, but he's also got proper orthopedic shoes, proper Frankenstein hand-me-down shoes.
Platform boots. Yeah.
Yeah, they're huge. I love he doesn't realise he's got lipstick on. He's just giving them lip, and he looks ridiculous. I love it. Jack Burton, me. And this bit's so cool though. And you just, look at that. Love it.
But ahead of its time again, deconstructing the masculine Hollywood hero. It gives you more than what you're asking for in this film, I
love how Thunder loses his temper, so he just starts attacking the furniture randomly in a minute.
Yeah.
It's
brilliant. Oh no, I fucked it.
Goodbye, Mr. Burton.
Good night.
Yeah, I'd never made the connection back to us having. It's already been set up that he's good with reactions.
Yeah. Because at the beginning, wasn't it? At the
Yeah, I love that little bit with the
zoop, it's catches it. It's a good edit of that. Cheesy line.
Yeah, like he meant it. You know, he turns around like, yeah, I meant that.
Take that statue. Oosh.
Meanwhile, the actual fight is going on over here. But Lopan was particularly confident with the old prepare to die, Mr. Burton. And it's just like, you've only got a little knife.
Hi. And when he sees him, he's just like, it's like, because he knows Lopan's now died, but now does he just sort of essentially lose control of his powers? That makes him pop?
No, he's just really angry.
Yeah.
He's emotional. It's an emotion, isn't it? And it's building up inside of it. It's a metaphor. It's a visual metaphor.
He's so upset, even his feet are getting bigger.
This is like a Hot Shots. This is like a Hot Shots moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Try to hold your farts in on a first date, isn't it?
It always makes me think of Monty Python, that expanding thing.
Fuck off, I'm full. He's like, look at that.
It's brilliant.
This bit here is incredible because, like, he's in the background, he fires the lightning up to the ceiling, walks towards you, the ceiling he attacked then begins to melt behind him and it collapses. So good. Got pyrotechnics there as well.
Yeah, and the lighting effect on the walls and so on is really helping it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just perfectly done.
Look at this. This just like he's basically created a trap so they can't get out. It's really good. But then when they defeat him, and Egg Shen drops the statue on him. When the lightning is still there, when it basically disappears, it creates a Chinese character.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It says something. Yeah, I can't remember what it says. Should have checked.
Have you ever seen the translation of the title of this in Chinese?
No.
The text. Oh, let me see if I can find it.
What, the text that they use means something else?
Like the Chinese text that comes up, is it Hanji? Can't remember that comes up to say Big Trouble in Little China says, it does say that, but it says it in a really roundabout way.
Right. It's like getting a tattoo when you're travelling.
Yeah.
And you get back and it says, you are an arsehole.
That happened to my dad, actually. He was going to have a... He was going to have it wasn't that bad. He was going to have a tattoo of a gecko on his back. 'Cause he lives in Thailand. He loves geckos. So he got that done completely pissed and didn't find out until a few days later that the guy who did it couldn't do geckos and he'd done like a monitor lizard or some completely different type of lizard.
You couldn't do a gecko, but could do a monitor lizard.
I can't remember what it was. Or like a Komodo dragon or something.
Just going to pull a monitor lizard out of my back pocket.
Yeah. So this is called. So the Chinese characters call this movie "Evil Spirits Make a Big Scene in Little Spiritual State."
Oh right, yeah. Well, does what it says on the tin.
It's a bit funny there when he opens to shut the door and he goes, "My truck." My truck! He sort of says it twice, you know. I took the key.
He's such an idiot.
What an idiot.
Oh, I love it. When he slams through the door, it's like, sorry. He's like, that lorry just seems incredibly slow. I don't know. Every time you see it, it just like plods along.
He says sorry. Yeah, that's brilliant. And then we're in the real world again, and it's like...
Yeah, which looks really bland and boring and just run down, doesn't it?
But also it's like they've reached daylight at the end of the adventure, you know? It's kind of... It feels really cathartic when they're out again. You feel like you're safe. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, God, we're out of that.
Oh, I'd forgotten that there. Oh, yeah, she's his fiancée or something, isn't she?
Yeah.
Is that right? Which begs the question why he's up gambling all night with Jack Burton the hours before his fiancée arrives from...
Oh, that's like you're smoking a bong there, Egg Shen. That's a big fucking pipe.
You know, at the beginning with the guy that's talking
The
to
lawyer.
Egg Shen. Yeah, who's he? He's in stuff, isn't he?
Oh, he's in tons of stuff. He often plays like, he plays like lawyers or things like that?
Yeah, he's always someone official. I know him best as X, not X, what's he called? The from the X-Files,
Yeah, that's him.
Deep
Yeah.
Throat.
That's it, right? Yeah.
He's also in 3 episodes of Murder, She Wrote.
Oh.
Different people.
Different people each time, yeah.
Great.
Come over to my proofreader and help me find a title.
She's a bit like, who's she?
I don't even think she's Chinese, actually.
I don't think she is either. I think she looks vaguely like Kim Cattrall, and that's enough.
Oh, I meant the friend with the red curly hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like
isn't-
she's in it, but like
yeah, she's a...
Kate Burton.
or
she's
something.
almost
Margot.
invisible in the film, you know.
Yeah, she's kind of just like this another sort of rookie reporter who's kind of struggling, isn't she? So then they sort of said, "Oh, the other guy fancies you." Then they sort of just basically get them off camera, I think, for a bit. See, this is where he's like when he says goodbye to Dennis Dunn. It's like that is it's so John Wayne.
He's such a dick.
Yeah. And this is where, because Carpenter said, this is where Jack Burton really, just kind of, for the first time, acknowledges what's going on. Like he, believes everything now.
Yeah, well, his job before was to be an idiot who doesn't take anything he's seeing seriously, but now he can be real.
Now he believes in Chinatown.
now he believes China is indeed a real country.
When the monster comes up at the end, as a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, there's got to be a sequel! There's going to be a sequel!" Never happened.
Oh, no.
It's like one of my friends said to me, "Of course, Ollie, there's loads of Escape From movies." I was like, "Really?" And there's two,
The king of those rumours was always the first 3 episodes of Star Wars, which rumours always abounded were a real thing, but you just weren't allowed to see them.
They were Flesh Gordon.
Oh wow.
Well, and this is the perfect time to talk about the song "Big Trouble in Little China" by
The Coupe de Villes.
with Nick Castle and some other chap. But the music video, which I mentioned earlier, it's like watching 3 dads perform make a band.
Have you ever seen them live? Have you ever seen John Carpenter live?
No, I haven't. He did. Was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? The
He
O2?
did a tour. I think he did a tour in 2018 in it was the O2 in Shepherd's Bush. That's where I saw him, and it's very much that. He stands behind his keyboard, and then when everyone else is playing, he kind of does dad dancing in the middle, with his sunglasses on, and he's kind of doing. It's brilliant, He just looks like he's having so much fun.
Did he sing this song though? Come on, Nick. He must have played this.
That's not him. That's not him, is it?
No, that's Nick Castle.
Oh right, they're singing together.
John goes, "Big trouble." He's the more baritone. But the music video is great. I love it. It's so mad. But Carpenter was like, "Hey, I was on MTV." So it's perfect. But I love the score to "Big Trouble in Little China."
Did he direct the music video?
I'm not sure, but maybe.
I don't think anyone directed that video, did they?
It's just him like cutting film and splicing it. I'm like, that's great. It's got projectors and stuff. It's pretty nuts. With this kind of mad video effects. I think they shot it over one like one evening. I think they shot it, something like that.
He popped up in that Foo Fighters movie.
Oh yeah, Studio 666. Studio
Yeah.
Did he?
666.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did the theme tune to it, and then he had a cameo in it.
Doesn't Lionel Richie have a cameo in it?
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's
yeah, he
fucking
does.
brilliant. It's the best moment of the movie by
Well,
miles.
it's a bad film, but yeah, the Lionel Richie bit's all right. It's just weird, isn't it? Because you kind of know what the thing is going in. It would be like the Foo Fighters recording an album in a haunted music studio, in a possessed music studio, and it's not that. It's like there's no music in it. They don't record any songs, and it's just
What? Do they forget about the plot then? The premise they come up with, they've just forgot
It's not
about
even
it.
a studio. They get an Airbnb and they set up a home studio. It's like, I thought it's going to be the band, the Foo Fighters, making an album, and then in between the songs, there'll be some story that holds it together. But it's like this Dave Grohl just mugging to the camera, doing like a really weird, broad comedy that's just, it's nothing really.
No.
Apart from the Lionel Richie bit.
This film is Big Trouble in Little China. It's weird, isn't it? Because it's really nostalgic and it's a real comfort film, but it is also a film that I genuinely, legitimately like now more than I did back then.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that.
There is that nostalgia element going into it, but actually, I just think it just stands up on its own as John Carpenter's masterpiece.
And nostalgia can work without you even having seen whatever film it is back in the day. If it's just got that aesthetic, if it just, it looks, feels and sounds like movies of that day, that nostalgia can come into play there. And I completely agree with you. It's gone up in my estimation loads. It's kind of done the opposite of Escape from New York. Escape from New York used to be my favourite John Carpenter movie, and now it's probably fourth or fifth or something. Over the years, they've gone like that, these two films.
Yeah, like Escape from New York isn't very, very high on my list. And I probably have watched Escape from LA much more.
I've probably seen Escape from New York more than any Carpenter, apart from The Thing.
Every time I watch Escape from LA, I kind of hope that the Bruce Campbell cameo is going to be better. And it's just always like, oh, well, absolutely wasted him.
I've just remembered the female lead, I can never remember her name, in Escape from LA is the same one from Hot Shots 2.
Yeah, Valeria Galingo.
That's it.
I mean, I love Big Trouble when I was a kid, and I love it more as an adult because all the humour kind of, as I said, sort of you see more of it in they sort of spot things you missed when you're younger.
Same with Ghostbusters. It's one of those films that appeals to kids, and then when you get older, you realise that there's all this comedy going. Because with Ghostbusters, it was a horror film for me, and then when I got older, it was like, oh, it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, Ghostbusters was terrifying to a kid, and that was a PG.
I saw it at the cinema. Absolutely fucked me up for years. But it was the taxi driver that looked like.
Yeah.
Oh, it was always the librarian.
Yeah, the librarian and the
yeah.
cab driver.
But the cab driver was like real horror. That was like Eddie off of Iron Maiden. It's kind of scary. This film's pretty much perfect, I think.
Well, folks, that's the end of the commentary. I hope you enjoyed it. Me, Nick, and Rob will be back with some more ramblings about movies in future. I don't know what the next one is. I'm sure it'll be something random like this, which I think is probably the best thing to do. I'm so eager to do the Under Siege films.
Hey,
Especially number 2.
Under Siege 2. Wow. What a movie.
What a movie.
I'd be up for doing something like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There you go, folks. Hopefully some Under Siege in the future. Okay, folks, take care of yourselves and goodbye for now.
goodbye.
Bye.